through several different like doctor's visits, like what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. And it comes out like he had a severe TBI, and after the Defenders of Freedom program in Dallas with the RTMS training and all the other stuff that they do, like you can ask Kelsi, obviously I don't live with him, but he's like a 180 after he came out of the program.
Yeah, it's insane. He was circling the drain, and it was a really, really rough time there for him. Like he was completely incapacitated for a long period of time. And the resiliency brain clinic, man, they work some magic down there. They do. And they took Brady right away. And so, yeah, he's right. That Brady was at the clinic that Jason and I were at 2 weeks before me. And then he came home, and then we traded off, and I went down. And so we both got to work on that and see massive improvement. So yeah, no, it definitely is important for sure.
Yeah, we've talked to another guest. I haven't dropped that episode yet, that around some of the same things that you guys just went through, and people saw very positive results from like the stellate ganglion block and receiving that for the post-traumatic stress. But I've heard even more positive things from really working on the traumatic brain injury through the types of treatment that you guys went through, and the results like you're describing, very life-changing. And so I'm really fascinated by this because I've seen some of the crazy equipment. I know it's a lot to do with like magnetics and everything else that has been described, and of course, seeing you guys' video and such. But just going through that experience, was it something that you started recognizing right off the bat, almost immediately from the treatments of, the way you approach things, the way you see things, the whole bit, or kind of help me through that?
For me, I would say, I'll go first since I was a week ahead of Kelsi, but like at the end of week 1, I was like, am I supposed to feel something? Because I don't. And I was like, oh, okay, well. And like I talked to Ron, and I was like, he's like, hey,
this is Ron O'Farrell who went through it ahead of
Ron O'Farrell, yeah, great guy, I love that guy. He's like, man, if you're just happy, and it only lasts for 2 days, that's 2 more days of happiness, and thankful for it. So going into that weekend, like I was like, I don't really feel like a whole lot. But then some other treatments that I did along with that, and then also in about probably the 3rd day of week 2, I realized, because I was like, one of the reason I went is because I was like super low depressed, man. I was like, I can't get out of this hole. And like, I was just like, I would try to run, I would try to work out. Everything was just like depressed. I was just depressed about everything. Stub my toe, fucking doors unlocked. Oh, it was so bad. Everything was bad. I couldn't get out of it, but it was like week 2, like Tuesday or Wednesday, I was like, I haven't been depressed. I haven't had that. That's weird. What? And I started realizing like I had not been depressed or anxious at all. And it was like anxiety and depression had like literally gone. Wow. And I've dealt with things since I've been home, and I'm like, need a buff. Like, I don't feel like depressed. I mean, you get a little anxious about like if you got something coming up, whatever, that's different life stuff. But yeah, like just being that way all the time, no, I ain't. And I feel myself thinking about situations. Like I'm like, that's different for me, because usually I'm like reacting immediately, and then changing the magazine and then trying to deal with that disaster. But now I'm like, what is the thought process behind this? Like, what is the end state that I want to see in this conversation? And that's something that I wouldn't have done before. I would have just gotten super pissed off and just ran in the opposite direction of the shit show.
What about for you, Kelsi?
For me, it was, the first week I was just finishing the Warrior Angel Foundation run. So I finished that Sunday night and started on Monday. And so I was exhausted. I was exhausted anyway. I noticed about day 3, the level of exhaustion like was different. It felt like different things. I could feel parts of my brain like hurting legitimately, like different parts of my head. It was very odd. And I noticed that on the weekend, the weekend, I was in a lot of pain. It was like excruciating. Like I couldn't get out of bed. Felt like someone was hitting me over the head with a sledgehammer.
Because of the treatments.
Yeah. And it's because they were turning my brain. Like my brain was actually activating. Things in my brain weren't working and things started to fire. And that's like, I was having these, migraines. And then all of a sudden, like every day before that, I had vertigo. I had the low grade migraine I thought was just normal. My eyes shook like all the time. I thought that was just like normal. Yeah. So like, if you look at my chest, it looks like someone just like colored the eye. It's not good. And so all of a sudden I woke up on Sunday and I started to have no pressure in my head anymore. And it felt like things had lifted. And then I started sleeping. And then I had a couple really rough days because it can be really difficult because it does also turn your brain on, and it turns off parts of your brain that maybe are dormant because things were so shitty that your body just goes, nope, and cuts that off for protection. And you can't help what kind of comes back, and you can't help what you remember. So those made the PTS things a little harder for a little bit. And then I think it was the Wednesday, like it was like I did a 180. I felt like a completely different person. My ability to think clearly was there. Everything from like my temperature regulation in my hands and everything was good. I was sleeping. Things were just changed. It was crazy. It was the hardest thing to understand. And it just got better. It's been getting better since then.
Yeah. Now, in the case of Ron, I think Ron had to go multiple times. He was kind of scheduled. So you guys have gone once, correct? Both of you. Yeah. And
I might have to go back, but you can, like for Kelsi, she knows because she sat in the chair with the machine that was turned on for me.
The TMS machine, the transcranial magnetic stimulation. Oh, I love it. It feels so good.
She sat in it with me, and it's like.
His was way more intense than mine. I'll tell you that right now. So it's very different, right? And it's all tailored to each person and the severity that they have, and they work on. I just did a podcast with Doc G today that it came out today, and we went over everything we do and why we do it and how they do it and how long they do it for, and learning plenty of different like techniques that you can do at home that help alleviate those things. So once you leave, you leave with tools and homework and things to do to keep improving. So, doing saccades, doing your eye movements, doing, different practicing of movements with the body, finding a place that does TMS. Like we're going to keep doing TMS up in Vancouver.
Shocking the shit out of your tongue.
Shocking the shit out of your tongue. Like there are things that you can do that can keep helping you progress. And that's really what it is. It's because it's work. It's not you go there in 2 weeks and it's fixed. Like it's legitimate work. And as long as you keep on top of it, you'll keep improving, or you'll get, keep getting a little bit better as it goes. So that, and then getting you chemically balanced is really important as well with TBIs, right?
Yeah. I mean, chemically balanced is just one of those things that you're talking about, eating healthy, sleeping right.
Yeah. Like I don't
vitamin
know
supplements. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this thing called Inside Tracker? So it's I'll just plug it for him. I'm pretty sure Andrew Huberman has a really dope discount for Inside Tracker, and because I say it because it's not crazy expensive, but it's worth it. What it is you go get your blood work done and you check all these different levels, right? You check all of your hormones and your food and your your vitamins, all of that stuff to make sure that you're good. Thyroid, all of it. You plug your results into there, and it tells you and shows you on a graph how to improve, what to improve on, where you're sitting, and then it charts that data point. And I got to tell you, when something goes wrong in your life with health and you have that backup data to give to a doctor to go, this is doing this, and we know, and it started here. I'm telling you, that's invaluable. And it's also preventative, right? You can teach yourself and learn. They can teach you how to eat better or take a supplement to fix that so that you then get in healthy range, and you check your blood every 3 months, every 6 months, and just keep an eye on your health, right? Those things are really good.
So it's basically just like getting a baseline data point. And now you're getting the blood work. You're actually able to see the chart and the variance that's occurring over time. That's amazing.
Yeah. Brady and I do that now. And we did that well before the first incident he had when he dropped last year. And that's invaluable. That stuff is incredibly worth having. And that was one thing we talked about with the TBI stuff, was like, there's an app you can get for your watch if you have an iPhone, an iWatch, Apple Watch, whatever the fuck these things are called. My God.
Yeah, I think Apple Watch. Yeah.
Apple Watch. It's an iWatch. What are they called? There's so many devices. I'm on all Apple
I'm with
products.
you. Yeah.
I just they own my life.
Really I can talk into it.
I can talk into it, but it's not really like a phone. So anyway, they have like great apps on there that literally act similar like a Whoop strap, and it helps you know where your body is at. So you know how much you can give and push to be optimal. And those things are all incredible to health and understanding your brain, especially if you're a vet or you're somebody who's had any sort of blast exposure or head injuries like professional athletes. Knowing your body, knowing how to fix that stuff is the only way to thrive at this point once you have head injuries.
Did they talk to you guys about PTS? Because I know that this is now being researched as well for post-traumatic stress. So did they talk about maybe that there could be benefits from that as well, or was it primarily focused on traumatic brain injury?
It was it's a little bit of both. It depends on the person, I think. Like for me, I went in and I have a treatment doctor that I've been with since 2009. So I understand how to handle that, who to call, some people, depending on the therapies you're doing there, have more of a PTS side. I was there specifically just because like my brain I have things like dysautonomia, like my brain was just a mess and we needed to do a lot of work.
The great thing about it is, about the program in general, is that, I mean, there's 1,000 great things, but one of the best things I appreciated was, we go to the doctor and it's a general purpose. Like, you've got all these symptoms and you must have this, or everybody that we will treat this way because they have that, or whatever. That's the generalization of like going to getting help with anything you typically do. But here during the Defenders of Freedom program, we literally tailored to exactly what your needs were. Like, first day, you spent all day doing like little mundane tasks like that you were annoyed with. And everything has you're like, what the hell am I doing this? And everything has a purpose that you really don't see until she says, hey, all right, come in here and we'll spit out your results. And she shows you this paper and be like, you're all fucked up.
You have a problem here, and here. They also correlate here.
Like Doc G told me, he's like, Jason, you're a great guy. You're just dead inside.
It's fine. Wow. I feel nothing. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So, it's like my nerves are like hitting on my elbows, on my knees. Like, she's like, we're just going to have to get a bigger hammer. And she's like whacking and my body's not responding. Like, I never moved, nothing. And she's like,
he was dead inside and I was hyper, like, like if you come near me, I just jolt. Like I'm the complete opposite. So it was interesting. It was an interesting process.
Well, it's so fascinating because people are going to be listening to this, and there's all kinds of information that's out there now about what is it, RTMS? Is that what you just said, or what is it?
Yeah, okay. RTMS. Yep.
Yeah, and again, they're using it for even in some cases. I think they're trying to work with people from not just GWAT and OEF and IEF, OIF veterans, but they're also even going back to Desert Storm veterans and trying to help them in some cases with some of their challenges. But in the case of the RTMS, I mean, like stellate ganglion block, there's people that said that they had, and I know somebody very close that had
both.
Yeah, you have. And Paul and another person that we've had on the show that I know, Kyle, very well, have both had it. And Paul's had multiple. Kyle, I think, has only had one. But the life-changing moment that happened for Kyle on the one, I shared with him about this type of additional availability and stuff, through the program that you described. What was the name of the organization again?
Defenders of Freedom.
Defenders of Freedom.
And there are many others that I think the VA is looking at this as well. But I told him to look into it and to apply, because the results that I've been seeing from people that's been coming on the podcast, or yourself, Jason, you talked about it, and Ron, and it's been amazing. The differences that we're starting to see from veterans.
Yeah. And I had both. So the stellate ganglion block, it was right up front, like it was pretty decent. It was okay. Like it kind of calmed me down a little bit. Right. And, but it didn't do anything for like anxiety or depression. I felt calm, like just mundane.
What about your fight or flight? Because in Cal's case, that's what the main thing was. And for Paul.
Yeah, that was mine. So my fight or flight hormone is through the roof. Doc would tell you, Doc G was like, it's insane, Jason.
Cortisol, right?
Yeah, my cortisol was just off the charts, and she's like, it's crazy. So she's like, you've literally been surviving on cortisol your entire life, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the stellate ganglion block, it took that down, right? Like I felt like okay, but it didn't help anything with the depression or the anxiety or anything like that. But it did kind of calm me a little bit, give me a little bit of relief, if you will. And to my point is, one of the doctors that I went to in San Antonio, I linked him in with Donna, and they talked for a while on the phone. He does their blocks all the time, and he's really interested in like their program because, like I said, he's a great guy. Gave it the shot twice. And he called me, checked on me one day, and he's like, "Hey, Velvet, how you doing?" I was like, "Great." And I told him about what I was doing. I was in Texas actually at the time. And he's like, "Wow, I want to know more about it." He's like, I can hear it in your voice. He's like, "You sound great." He's like, I can tell because he spent 3 weeks with me himself, and he's like, "I want to know more about this program. I can hear it in your voice. I can see. It's just you're totally different from talking to you when I talked to you a couple weeks ago, and I want to know more about it." So I got them two linked together, and Donna's like, we had a great conversation. And the problem is the VA has this machine. They have it. They just don't know how to use it.
They don't.
And they won't come to people who like Doc knows how to do it professionally. They're like too prideful, I guess. That's how we do in the military sometimes. But at the end of the day, like they have it and they have all this research and stuff. But instead of writing a prescription, write a prescription for the guys that come to get this treatment.
No, it makes them too much money. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Words are you saying?
Money isn't saving lives, though.
You're exactly right. But the VA, if you keep taking it instead of like solving the problem, like this, it's just such an easy solution for them.
I think there is a program that's out there now, but what they said, or at least what I've seen, is that they're doing, you could get the treatment or you could get the placebo, and you're not going to know which one you get. So because they're doing the study on it, right? So, right. So there may be, I don't know how they're going to do each of those where you don't know whether you get it, because what you guys are describing, I don't know how the hell I would know that it's not the real thing. They
wouldn't. Back to what Ron said. Because remember what I said about my first week, right? I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I was like, I feel all right. I feel better, I think, and just like you said, Kelsi, but at the end of the day, like Ron's like, hey dude, if it is a fucking placebo effect and you feel better, ride that train.
Whatever
that's
works.
what your body's telling you, man. And I was like, that's a damn good idea, right? So just enjoy it, right? So I'd like to see the research behind some bullshit like that, but they'll figure it out, I'm sure.